Falanas win the case in court if he is saying he is not the one that did that on that video.
SN will not be going to court over the question of whether Bobrisky was the one on the voice recording or not. What Mr. Falana SN will be going to court with respect to the defamation is with respect to the comments made by VDM in his own video. That's the first point. Then with respect to the issue of the sequence, as you said earlier, I had earlier said that the issue of sequence may not necessarily be the top burner in this matter. Not necessarily the top burner, being that whether it is from Bobrisky, Mr. Falana, or Fowles that the call emanated from, that may not be the fact in issue. The fact in issue will be about those comments, those injurious comments made in the course of the recording, or those publications made in the course of that video. So for me, that should be the main issue. Then when you mentioned something else, there was this point you made. There was this other point he made when he was
sequence. He started with the issue of sequence.
I've cleared the issue of sequence. I've said the issue of sequence is of no importance with respect to who initiated the call or who did not initiate the call. Then I've equally cleared the issue as I think I'm able to clear your question.
Right. Let me bring in Evaristas Odina Kaize at Odini Kaize on X. Your mic is on and it's your time to speak. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon from here. So let me make my comment, and then I would ask the barrister a question. So I personally disagree with the analysis and argument around fair comment as to what burden VDM has. So if you look at VDM's comments, it seems like a reasonable person would, consider it to be fair comment. He was never speaking in affirmative. He was only being hypothetical. And he never established a strong opinion, if you were to test whether he knew that that was true or not, right? So he wasn't saying for a fact that he knew that to be true. However, he also gave a phone number that, can help the investigators, in carrying out this, gathering of data to ascertain whether or not, these issues are valid, right? So I'm thinking that since a whole lot of public figures are involved here, this particular issue rises to a matter of public interest, right? And as such, this comment, given that it has the elements, that you can say this is an honest opinion. It was an expression of opinion. That's one of the elements. It has to be free of malice. He never showed any malice. That you can establish that he was malicious in that video. And then, as to whether it's accurate facts, this is when gathering evidence like call records. In fact, Nigeria has call data that you can go right now, pull out a whole lot of calls that came out from that particular number that, has been maybe established as Bobrisky's. You can also pull up a whole lot of bank statements. I worked in this space, the first time I joined Wall Street and stuff. So you can triangulate this particular issue and pull out a whole lot of data and see the network of ebbs and flow of events. And you can ascertain whether they are accurate facts here. Now, because this is in public's interest to understand whether public officials are actually acting against the interests of the people, there is going to be a criminal side that the state, when I say the state, I mean Nigeria, is going to start a different proceeding that will not trigger a whole lot of, gathering of data, right? And now the Falanas can choose to, bring charges of libel, right? That libel stuff, the burden is still on them because, they have to prove that all these allegations or this voice data that has been published are false. And then from there, if they bring out VDM to court, then they can figure that one out. And then if the state also establishes that none of these things are factual, they can also prosecute VDM. But if indeed he is a whistleblower in this case, and all these whole, facts that we have, appreciated from the audio is true, then you can make a case of, he should be sued for liability act or, criminal act and stuff, because in that particular case, it would have been established that he's, he should be exculpated.
All right.
Now, let me ask you this question, Barrister, and again, thank you so much for taking this time. You've been doing a very good job. I've been listening for a while, and you've been, answering a whole lot of questions. So let me ask you, under what conditions can a whistleblower in Nigeria be, treated as a criminal?
Okay, to answer you, the answer is very simple. Where your whistleblowing turns out to be false. Where your whistleblowing turns out to be false, in that instance, you can be tried for even providing false information to law enforcement agencies.
What offense would that be?
There's an offense referred to in under the penal code as providing false information to public officers. The police usually try a lot of persons on that sort of offense.
So that's why they will remind you that whatever you are saying can be used
against you or in evidence.
So you'll be advised on what to say, so that you're not lying.
So you cannot just present information which are false to a public officer, expecting them to act on that information. If that information turns out to be false, you can be tried for that offense. Then on the other way around too, if your information turns out to be false, an individual can decide to pursue a civil case of defamation against you, as we are presently on one now.
Let me take a final comment and whatever contribution from X, and this is from Real Mazi at Onuma Juru 5. You have the floor and your mic is on.
Okay, so good evening. Barrister. Thank you so much for the analysis you've been giving. It's quite interesting. I appreciate that. Here's a little contribution I want to give. My thoughts here is this: the law, does it amplifies when someone commits offense, and the offense the person commits will be sidelined, and then the whistleblower will be the person that will be witch hunted? Why am I asking this question? Nobody is talking about EFCC again. EFCC committed a crime of collecting money to kill a money laundering case, and nobody is talking about it again. What they're talking about now is this. Falana will charge.
Please go ahead. Unmute and go ahead.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The case of EFCC has been put by the side. Remember, Kubana chief priest committed this same offense, and he was let go, and nobody talked about it. Everybody was quiet. And VDM came up with this now. And remember that very day that thing happened. The next day, we are not fools in Nigeria. The next day, is it the same day? Bobrisky deleted he archived all her pictures in Instagram, and he stalked a Christian overnight and start dropping some quotes. The next day, nobody knows what gave her the bold mind to come up and start saying some things he was saying. Why am I saying this? Nigeria have turned to a country whereby you will commit an offense, and the offense will be looking at you in your front. And the whistleblower will turn to the person that, now they want to drag VDM, that he's not the one that is at fault, because he blew the whistle that everybody in Nigeria knows that this is what has been going on. This is the racketeering that has been going on in the system, whereby Yaya Bello is walking around the country, and though these criminals are walking around the country, and the EFCC, the so-called EFCC, cannot do anything, but they are out there messing up and down. So my question is this: is Nigeria a country whereby a whistleblower is the person that is going to be a witch hunter, or is it the main person that commit the crime? Is it the law that gives them these hands to be doing this, or is it where Nigeria is right now.
I answered this your question earlier when I said that the ICPC, who I believe are the proper commission with respect to offenses committed by public officers in the course of their duty, should at this point be on the table investigating this matter, particularly because I believe that the EFCC cannot investigate the EFCC. There has to be an external body, and in this instance, fortunately enough for us, the law has already established a body that can investigate officers acting within their official function. That is the ICPC, Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. So for me, I believe that the ICPC should investigate both the EFCC officials and also the Correctional Center officials. Right. And we need to understand this. And I need to clear this point, particularly because of the last question you asked. I have not come here today to say that any particular individual has committed any said offense. I am only saying that for every statement anyone makes, you must be sure of the veracity of that statement. You must be responsible
and there
for
are
your
consequences.
Statement. Yes, you must be responsible for your statement and also be willing to accept the consequences that flows through same. Equally of utmost importance is the fact that the issue of the EFCC, it is not within the realm of our powers. We cannot sue the EFCC in a civil action to claim damages against them with respect to the allegations against them. The allegations against them is an allegation that can only be investigated by the law enforcement agencies, alongside having concluded their investigation and established a prima facie case, prosecute those officers and penalize them or discipline them in line with the public service rules and in line with the penal laws of Nigeria.
So you basically came here today to talk law. Thank you so much. Mr. Henry Eniotu, a principal partner at Law Corridor, a law firm here in Abuja. Thank you so much indeed for joining us today. Well, I'm seeing a lot of comments, a lot of views and comments about what is going on in the country in respect to what VDM said, what Bobrisky said on the telephone allegedly, and some of the issues that have now trailed this matter. Don't forget, we also had a conversation about President Bola Tinubu's planned cabinet reshuffle. You can go to our comment sessions and drop your comments and get involved in the conversation. Don't forget, and on all of those platforms, please go there now, subscribe, follow us, go to YouTube, subscribe and follow. Go to any of our social media platforms and also follow. That way you are notified of any of our posts on any of our conversation on the MyCon podcast. I want to sincerely thank everyone that has been a part of this episode. Many thanks for joining in. I'm Sean Wakimalo. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
You can also decide what we'll be talking about next time on Mike On Podcast with Sheono Kimbaloi. Just follow us on the Mike On Podcast on all leading social media platforms and share your thoughts and comments. We are happy to hear from you. Kimbaloi on Mike On Podcast every Saturday at 7 p.m. as he x-rays issues beyond the regular and dives deeper to depths that allow him bring you answers to questions on your mind. In this podcast room, everything points to accountability, and you are the boss. No one understands how to hold public figures to account like Sheon Okunbaloi. Catch Mike On Podcast live this Saturday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. Mike On Podcast for the independent mind.